Hey everyone! After fun trips to Switzerland, Austria, Germany and Netherlands, we took InterRail to our next destination, Brussels in Belgium, which is going to be a packed 3-day trip to lots of signature spots. Let's get into it!
After arriving in Brussels, we headed straight out to explore the city at night, and Brussels at night felt like a fairy tale, especially around Christmas and New Year's. The streets were lit up with beautiful lights, and everywhere we turned, there were little Christmas markets, music, and cozy cafes. Brussels is not just Belgium's capital. It's a city full of rich history and charm. It started as a small trading town over 1,000 years ago, and over time, it grew into a major political and cultural hub of Europe. Today, it's the home to the European Union and filled with beautiful old architecture, cobblestone streets, and grand buildings like the stunning town hall at Grand Place. And if you walk around the city, you will notice comic-themed street art on the walls because Brussels is also the birthplace of famous comic books like Tintin and the Smurfs. And so, of course, we had to visit the Grand Place and we had to visit the comic book museum.
First off, Grand Place, which is one of the most beautiful city squares in Europe. And it was absolutely magical with all the sparkling lights and the giant Christmas tree in the middle. And we were so lucky because just as we arrived, a light and music show started. The whole square lit up with colors dancing to music, and it honestly felt so magical. And we just stood there taking it all in.
Oh, Santa!
Welcome to Belgium. We just said the whole street has no people. And then now, I jinxed it.
You jinxed it.
After soaking up the lights, we were starving. So we went to try some traditional Belgian food and strolled through the main Christmas market in the center, browsing everything. The Christmas markets in Brussels was huge and packed with people. It felt like the whole city came out to celebrate. Stalls were lined with lights, selling everything from mulled wine to handmade gifts. It was festive, but definitely a bit of a squeeze. Then we ended up at a Belgian restaurant, and here we were feeling adventurous and ended up ordering bone marrow and even the recommended horse meat. Let's just say it was definitely an experience. The bone marrow was super rich and buttery, but the horse meat's, not really a thing. But hey, one doesn't know until one tries.
And not too far from the restaurant, we also went to see the famous Manneken Pis statue, which is, in case you didn't know, this tiny bronze statue of a little boy peeing into a fountain. It might sound a bit weird, but it's actually one of the most iconic symbols of Brussels. The statue has been around since the early 1600s, and there are a few fun legends behind it. One of the most famous stories says that during a battle, a little boy saved the city by peeing on a burning fuse that was about to blow up a bomb. So, the people of Brussels built this statue to honor his, well, heroic aim, I guess? Over time, Manneken Pis became a quirky symbol of Brussels' humor and spirit. And it's much smaller than you'd expect, but somehow it's super charming, and they even dress him up for the holidays.
And of course, we had to end our nights the best way possible, with warm, crispy Brussels waffles topped with cream and chocolate, sweet, crunchy, and the perfect comfort after a long day of exploring.
On our second day, we kicked off the morning by visiting the Comic Book Museum, which is officially called the Belgian Museum. The museum is dedicated to the history and evolution of comics in Belgium, which has a really rich and unique comic culture. Of course, for an international audience, a big part of the museum revolves around Tintin, its creator, and Tintin's adventures across the globe, from the moon to the pyramids, and how Hergé developed his characters, stories, and iconic art style. But it also explores how comics have grown as a storytelling medium and feature works by other influential Belgian and European artists. And you also get to see original sketches, personal notes, on how real-world events inspired so many of Tintin's missions.
What's really cool is that the museum also includes exhibitions from other contemporary comic artists, giving a broader look into the world of European graphic novels. And before you leave, there's a super fun cafe filled with comic books where you can grab a snack, flip through some classic Tintin issues, and just soak in the creative vibe. For me, it really brought back so many childhood memories which were a joy to relive.
After that, we made our way to Mini Europe, a super cute park where you can see tiny versions of famous landmarks from all over Europe. It was so fun spotting the places we've been to and the places that we're daydreaming about and where we want to go next. We are inside
Mini Europe! You see how many flags are there? Woohoo! 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and the Atomium.
And Polly's finally home because she's mini. And so, in case you didn't know, the park is a miniature park that features over 350 detailed scale models of famous landmarks from across the European Union. From the Eiffel Tower in Paris to the Acropolis in Athens, the Brandenburg Gate in Berlin, and so on. Everything is recreated at a 1 to 25 scale with incredible attention to detail. And the park was first opened in 1989, and it's meant to celebrate the unity and diversity of Europe in a fun and educational way.
And one of the things we found cool was that many of the models have moving parts and audio involved. You will see trains running, windmills spinning, boats sailing, and national anthems playing and more. Overall, it's a great place for both kids and adults, and you really feel like you've done a mini Europe trip in just an hour or two.
Next, just next to the miniature park, we visited one of Brussels' most iconic landmarks, the Atomium, and which I have had on my bucket list to visit. The Atomium is this giant futuristic structure made up of 9 shiny spheres connected like atoms, and it was originally built for the 1958 World Expo. From the outside, it looks like something out of a sci-fi movie, but inside, it's actually part museum and part art space with cool exhibitions and light installations. And you can take an elevator straight to the top sphere and enjoy the view from the top, which we were so excited to experience.
Overall, it was such a weird but wonderful building and experience, and we definitely think it's worth a visit if you're ever in Brussels. Then, after exploring the Atomium and Mini Europe, we headed back into town to try the famous Chef Leon, a restaurant that's been serving classic Belgian dishes, especially mussels, for generations. It's super well known among both locals and tourists, and we couldn't have Brussels without giving it a try.
So I'm not complaining at all because Polly's done a great job picking food places and whatnot, but she also picks the popular fancy ones, which means that we end up in lines.
Leon! The mussels were so fresh and full of flavor, cooked in this delicious garlicky white wine broth. We totally get why it's such a classic Belgian dish. We honestly wiped the pot clean with bread. It was comforting, hearty, and exactly what we needed after a long day.
After a delicious dinner at Chez Leon, we ended our day with a stroll through the Brussels Christmas market. It was still buzzing with lights, music, and the smell of warm waffles and mulled wine in the air. Even though it was cold, the festive atmosphere made everything feel so cozy and magical. And on our way back, we passed by this really unique little shop that was making custom iris graphics. Basically, they scan your eyes and turn them into beautiful artwork. So we decided to do one together as a souvenir, combining both of our irises into a single image. It was such a cool and meaningful way to remember this trip and celebrate our shared journey over the last 5 years. And so, just like that, day 2 in Brussels came to a perfect end.
For the final day in Belgium, we enjoyed our morning before making our way to the train that would take us to the next chapters of our adventure. Luxembourg, Strasbourg, and Paris, and where something very magical took place. Overall, we loved our time in Brussels. We loved the food, the places, our new art, the great light shows, and more. And thank you for taking part in our journey. Next up, France. See you in the next. Bye!